I was working as a doctor. I was actually a stressed, burnt-out doctor. When I became ill and my income stopped overnight, I realised that I hadn't put anything in place that would create a residual income.
I was playing professional golf on the tour in America, and I got injured. And that put a lot of financial stress and burden on my life. We were basically living off my wife's income as a professional nanny, and golf is one of the only sports in the world where if you don't play well, you don't get paid. So it's becoming a burden week in, week out.
Tony wasn't around much in those days. He was working all week and then just seeing the children over the weekend and being very tired at the weekend to really spend good quality time with them.
I was running a training consultancy which was doing very well. I was away all the time. I was either on a plane, I was in a taxi, I was in a hotel or a training room. Just couldn't actually spend any time with my children.
I was a burnt out, disenchanted teacher. I loved teaching, but the demands of the job were extreme and my health was failing.
I didn't have the time, I was working really between 60, 70 and sometimes 80-hour weeks in a day job. And I asked myself, when I really looked at my situation, how is that going to change?
Well, I was actually prospecting a guy for my training consultancy, and he basically turned the tables on me and said, listen, you would be absolutely perfect for this opportunity, and I didn't really want to look at it. But then eventually my good wife here said, hey, you're always saying about being open-minded, do your due diligence, look at this business. You never know, it could be the answer, and she was right, it was the answer.
I'd felt like I was in such a rut, and I'm sure most people can relate to that. My kind of previous 7 years in the workforce had got me the results that I had so far, and that was very close to the financial red line and not having any time. I met these the friends who I now work with in the business for the last number of years. They just told me about a way that I could take the few hours spare that I had of my week and start to create a repeat income.
Well, I knew if I went and got a regular job, there was no job out there on the marketplace that I could make $75,000 a year and still continue to play golf as well. Just not possible. So I had to find another avenue. So that's either through sponsorship, which is very hard to come across, or something else. And my wife was a nanny at the time, and she introduced me to the family she worked for, and the gentleman that she worked for had some ideas on how to create that, and that was by going to see a presentation of USANA. It wasn't until I looked further into the product line and introduced it to a few of the players that I dealt with that I really saw an opportunity for this to not only give me my health back injury-wise, but also allow me to make enough money to go back out and play golf again on my own terms, instead of trying to find a sponsor.
What USANA's done that is different is they've created a package which is complete in itself. Complete in the balance of the minerals and the vitamins, the antioxidants, the phytonutrients. It's a beautifully designed product which, as a doctor I'm also a scientist, it satisfied that part of myself.
I knew someone who'd left medicine, left their profession to work with these products, and I knew when my health was rock bottom that maybe she had something that could help me. So I started using the products, and the improvement in energy and general well-being and functioning was so profound, really quite so quickly for me, that I had to revise my whole understanding of what we needed for optimal health in the modern world.
This is a very, very real opportunity for anyone to take part in and play at whatever level they want to play at. If they just want to have products pay for themselves, you can do that. If you just like to maybe supplement your income a little bit, you can do that. And if, like myself, you want to completely replace your income, you can do that as well.
I was able to actually retire from medicine 10 years ago. USANA is my primary income, and as I said, it's been a real blessing in my life.
USANA gives me an option where no matter what is happening in the world, no matter what is happening in the job market or the economy, that I can just tread a path that is financially viable.
My business actually in the last 6 months of a so-called credit crunch has grown by 12%. Like, that never happened to me before when I was in the corporate world.
The benefits of being involved with an established company that has so much credibility is that they've got over that, you know, kind of 5-year startup make or break stage. Like, and we know so many startup businesses in any industry, they go bust.
They're publicly traded. You know, they've been voted the #1 company in the direct selling arena now for 10 years in a row in what they do. You know, all the financials are there. They are a transparent company.
People often ask me whether they have to be doctors or health practitioners to be successful. I remind them, when I look at the top income earners in USANA, I'm successful, but the most successful people in USANA have no medical background at all. The reason they're successful is, you see, USANA does all the rocket science for us. It does all the research. All we are the messenger.
Well, the good thing about USANA was they weren't looking at my previous experience, like the fact I didn't have any university degree. They weren't looking at the fact that I didn't have a large amount of money or have really any experience in starting any kind of business, because I had none of that. And the system that USANA started, that system can be learned by anyone.
Compared to a job, this is like being in orbit. This is a different sphere altogether. How can I explain it? It's exciting, and it's not what the average person's doing, and yet the average person could.
I look around me and look at people struggling and there's so much time poverty. Financial poverty, yes, but time poverty. I have the ability to choose where I live, how I live, when I work, when I don't work.
You know, I don't ever wake up in the morning and think, oh, I've got to do some USANA stuff today. You know, I know people that get up and they just think, I've got to go to work, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, but you know, there hasn't been a day that I've thought, man, I don't like this business.
It makes me shiver sometimes. I just laugh thinking how different my life would be if I had let my initial fears get in the way of what was really important.
If you want more time freedom, you want to spend time with your children, if you want to be your own boss, if your commute wants to be like 30 seconds from your bed to your office, then you really need to be looking at this.
If someone's willing to make those changes, they're willing to embrace a better life, a bigger life, one where they can actually make a difference not just in their life but in the lives of others. USANA is a fantastic way of actually doing that.